If you are asking yourself, did I make the right decision? This episode is going to help you trust the decision that you made to leave a narcissist so you aren't paralyzed with second guessing. Hey, and welcome back. I so know this feeling of after you've left a narcissistic person or someone that you believe to be a narcissist, you start second guessing your choice to leave. And it can feel like from the moment that you wake up to the moment that you go to sleep, you have two parts of you that are just ping-ponging back and forth. One part of you knows. They know the list of all the reasons that you left. They know that it was a hurtful relationship. They see the cycle. They see the manipulation. They see that this person is not capable of change. Yet, there's another part of you that is wondering, wait, what maybe he can change this time? Or what happens if we're alone forever? I don't want to be alone forever. Or what if I'm wrong? What if I am not reading the situation clearly? What if I didn't bring my part to the relationship and that's why the relationship crumbled and it wasn't actually about him, right? These parts of you are arguing, they're ping-ponging back and forth. And it's a very special kind of hell to be stuck in something mentally that you are no longer in physically. So you physically left, and it took you a lot to actually say those words, to move out or to have him move out, and he's out of your space, but now to still be like mentally in his grip is really, it's a special kind of hell. And it's so exhausting to anybody that hasn't lived it. What I want you to know before we dive in to what we're going to talk about is this ping-ponging is happening not because you don't have enough information, right? Both of these parts have a lot of information that they're bringing to the table. It's not that you need to think harder about a pro and con list or make more pros and cons list. The reason that you feel so stuck in this internal ping-ponging and you feel paralyzed in not knowing if you made the right decision, it has nothing to do with the decision itself. And it has everything to do with what is happening in your nervous system because of the decision. So we're going to explore that real fear that is actually like lurking beneath these parts that are ping-ponging and why there's no pro and con list that's actually going to touch it. In doing so, you'll finally be able to start to find that closure and begin to actually heal the heartbreak that you're feeling and heal and move on from this relationship that has taken so much from you. So that's my intention for us today. And be sure to stick around to the very end of the episode because I always pull an oracle card. This will offer you a message that you can use, see how it resonates in your body, see what ahas it brings forward for you as you continue to move through your process. Okay, so let's take a deep breath and begin. We're going to welcome our girl Ariel back into the episode today. If you don't know who Ariel is, she is this character that I've created that embodies a lot of the struggles that I have felt, that clients have felt, that women that I've met with have expressed and felt. And so she is the embodiment of those things. Ariel is in this place of going through this feeling of indecision, this feeling of being paralyzed, not knowing if she made the right choice, of having left the relationship. So her partner moved out of the home and she is really feeling this ping-ponging. This is the best visual that I have for this of just two parts of her going back and forth, arguing with what they think is the right reason that staying would be the right choice or leaving would be the right choice. She's really in this limbo space of not being able to fully feel the heartbreak, not being able to fully grieve because she's still considering going back. She's still questioning if she made the right choice. So what Ariel is feeling and what you might be feeling when you're in this situation is an incredible amount of exhaustion. Indecision is one of the most energetically costly places to be because you are in a ping pong match all day long, for days and months and years at a time. It is so much energy to be considering two sides or many sides of a situation and to feel like you can't come to a completion or a understanding or a knowing. It's the biggest energy leak that you can have. And so if you have been feeling exhausted, this is likely part of what is happening. And probably this started well before, actually, definitely this started well before you made the physical action of leaving the relationship. In Ariel's case, she had been thinking about leaving for 10 years. She, on some level, things were not feeling right. She was not feeling supported. But then that other part would come in and justify the behavior or justify what was happening or just make her need less. And that would keep her in the relationship. But there was these parts in the background, and they were ping-ponging. They were starting to do this ping-ponging game, and they have been playing for 10 years. So the level of exhaustion that Ariel is feeling is beyond burnout. It is all consuming. So whereas in the beginning of those 10 years, the ping pong match was more quiet, right? Like the voices were a little bit more in the background. Now the ping pong match is very forward, and they have the microphone and they are screaming into the microphone, and it is consuming every moment of her day. From the moment that she wakes up to the moment that she goes to sleep. There might be some reprieve in there while she's at work because she can really focus her brain into what's happening. But even at work, she finds herself in the middle of Zoom meetings, drifting off into thinking about the pros and cons. Or someone will come into her office and be talking to her and she's not really able to stay focused. She feels like she's got brain fog. She feels like she just can't fully use her mental capacity. She can't fully use that brain of hers that has really taken her so far in her life. Ariel's a very successful woman. She is used to being able to be sharp and make decisions and just feel really healthy, feel really energized, feel really clear. And so this level of exhaustion is not only physically demanding, but mentally it's really stressful for her because this isn't the person that she wants to be. This isn't who she thinks that she should be or should have become because of what is happening. What's also happening for her is really, really severe confusion. And this is part of the argument that one part of her has, is really contemplating what it was and if he's still able to change. This part is just ruminating over everything that he has said, is really replaying a lot of the beginning of the relationship and different moments throughout the relationship of, well, what did he mean? I know this ended in a really bad way where it became very clear that I was not safe physically or mentally from this person and I had to walk away. But what did all of those moments before mean? Is he actually a narcissist? This is something that Ariel is really, really consumed with right now. She wants to know the diagnosis. She wants to know what my opinion is of him, what a therapist's opinion of him is. She wants that concrete answer because that's somehow going to, in her mind, alleviate the confusion around everything that she's felt for so many years. She's looking for that. She's looking for that in past things that he's done. She's looking for that in external validation from people she's talking to. She's really stuck in, well, if he's a narcissist, then I'm hearing and I'm learning that he can't change, but he's showing me that he does change, and that feels conflicting. So maybe he can change, right? And it's feeding into the parts that are playing the ping pong game. What's happening in this confusion also is that she goes from moments of hating him to moments of missing him. And that's a really hard place to be too, because again, it keeps her in this limbo space because she doesn't know how to honor the parts that miss him and that actually did have a good time with him and did love him. She doesn't know how to be with those memories and that nostalgia without wanting to go back. So it's not allowing her to grieve. It's not allowing her to move through the heartbreak of what's happening. It's really keeping her in this place of, you're not together, but you're not yet fully apart enough to be able to let go of what it was, so be able to heal and process and make sense and grieve what it was. So this confusion is adding to the exhaustion. It's adding to the brain fog. It's adding to her frustration really with herself of still focusing so much time and effort on this person that she is no longer with. And then comes in that self-criticism. So again, to the parts of her, the part of her that knows that she left for a reason and knows that she shouldn't go back, has the self-criticism of, gosh, you stayed for so long. You missed all of these red flags. He didn't love you at all. You are not lovable. If he wasn't able to love you, what does that mean about us? And then she has the other part of her that is considering going back, who has the self-criticism of, gosh, maybe we just didn't give enough. Maybe we were not a healthy person in the relationship. Maybe it was our fault that we weren't more supportive of him and his trauma. So the criticism adds to the confusion, adds to the exhaustion. All of this stuff is just compounding on Ariel. And what she really thought would happen when she left was relief. And I think that is so common because it's so heavy and it's so confusing and it's so exhausting in the relationship that when you finally get to the moment where you have your fuck this shift and you're like, fuck this, I cannot do this anymore. You make the decision to leave. There's really a hope that it's going to alleviate all of that. And so for her to be on the other side of that huge monumental hurdle that she had to get over and still be feeling this exhaustion and the second guessing and this indecision and the brain fog and the self-criticism, it's like, what in the actual fuck? She's very angry. She's angry that she's still in this place. And what she thinks is going to help is thinking more about the pros and cons. She thinks that that will give her the relief of trusting the decision that she made so that she can move forward. But what the pros and cons list is doing is feeding both parts of herself, which is creating more of the argument, which is beating herself up more around what is happening and why she's still stuck in this place. What Ariel can't see is that the reason that these parts are playing the ping pong game is because they are sensing a threat to the system. When we are in a fear state, when we're feeling afraid of something, we have parts that come forward that try to protect us from whatever that threat is. In Ariel's case, she is feeling a threat of being wrong. What if I made the wrong decision? What if he actually does change? What if we actually could have had a life together and now I'm going to be alone forever? She's in a very activated fear state, which makes sense because she hasn't been able to trust her decisions in the relationship. So there has been a lot of proof, a lot of negative reinforcement, negative feedback from her ex whenever she had an opinion or made a decision that it was wrong, right? It caused a problem. It was always not the right one. He always had something to say or some way to be upset with her because of the decision that she made. So there's already like a distrust in being able to make a decision. And now she just made a huge fucking decision in leaving. And so it makes sense that she has these parts that are not trusting that she's able to make that decision and not trusting that she's able to move through the consequence of that decision. So one exercise that I take clients through that's really impactful around fear is, okay, you left. You made the decision to leave. What are you afraid that's going to happen? Ariel's afraid that she made the wrong decision. Okay, what happens if you made the wrong decision? Then I'm going to have to watch him actually become the person that I worked so hard for and have a new life, and he's going to be happy and I'm going to be alone forever. Okay, what happens if he's happy and makes these changes and you're alone forever? Then it confirms that I was wrong and that I really am a piece of shit and that nobody's ever going to love me. Okay, what does it mean if you were wrong and you were a piece of shit and nobody's ever going to love you? Then it means that I'm going to be alone forever. What does that mean? It means that I'm unlovable, right? And we go down to the root. What is the root of the fear? There's a threat to the system that because of this decision that she made, it's going to boil down to her feeling the concreteness of her unlovability. It's going to be proven. And that feels really threatening. And if you don't have the right tools and the right nervous system guidance and the right emotional guidance to be able to go into those places, it's going to feel very threatening to the system. So when you're activated, your self-trust can't be accessed. Fear can't be processed And clarity feels really fucking far away because these parts are playing the ping pong game in front of the self energy that actually has that clarity and that knowing. By allowing these parts to play the ping pong, by continuing the pros and cons list, it's like you're holding on to that analytical buoy where you are in the middle of an ocean, of stormy ocean, of waves of emotion because of what's happening. You're clinging to this analytical buoy, thinking that if you just think harder about it, make a better pros and cons list, then the waves are going to stop and you're going to be able to breathe, right? You're not going to be put underwater and feel like you're drowning. But what you actually need is a tool that helps you go underneath the water and figure out what's happening underneath. Instead of just trying to survive on the surface, figuring out what's happening underneath. And for my clients, we use EFT tapping to do that because it helps regulate the nervous system so that we can figure out what's at the root of the fear. We can process that. We can find clarity. We can find understanding and then make that decision from that self-led place. But that's not what Ariel sees right now. She is in the fear state of just trying to cling harder, trying to keep that little mouth of hers above water so she can get some breath in between the moments of being shoved underneath the waves. And it's exhausting. The indecision, to go back to the point of it being a super energetically costly place to be, when you're in indecision, it can be sneaky. It cannot feel like you're losing so much by being in that ping pong match. But I want to break this down for you in terms of math, because math is a very concrete thing. There's a right answer and there's a wrong answer when you do a math equation. And so it can be helpful to bring something that feels nebulous into your hands here with understanding it in math terms. So in Ariel's case, she has been low level thinking about leaving, thinking about this might not be the right decision, contemplating, right? The ping-ponging match has been happening on a low level for 10 years and on a high level for 1 year. So she's just left in the last month, but she's been like very much in this indecision place of the loud ping pong game for 1 year. On average, Ariel is awake from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. And her highest indecision time is the time when she's alone. So that's from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. before she goes to work, and then 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. before she goes to sleep. Let's say that on average, there's about 2 hours in different chunks throughout the day that she's at work where she finds herself drifting or ruminating or refocusing on him instead of what's supposed to be happening. When you total that up, that equals 9 hours a day. 9 hours a day times 365 days in a year is 3,285 hours. When you divide that by 24 hours in a day, that's 137 days. And when you average 137 days out into months, you get about 4.5 months. So 4.5 months of the last 12, she has been in indecision. She has been in exhaustion. She has been in confusion. She has been in preoccupation, in rumination. She has had moments where she's unable to focus on her life, on herself. This is more than a third of her entire year. Do you see how costly that is? That is a third of her year that she has not been feeling joyful, that she has not been actively engaging with her friends, that she has not been fully enjoying her downtime, that she's not been engaging in hobbies, that she's been trying to self-distract or self-soothe with Netflix and ice cream and alcohol or whatever thing can help just take her mind off of it for a fucking minute. She's been in survival mode, like intense survival mode, just in indecision. This isn't even factoring in all of the survival that happens within the relationship itself, which is incredible to think about that piled on top of this indecision. This is just the indecision. So what I really want you to take away from this episode is how costly indecision is, and how making the pros and cons list is not going to help you feel safe in the fear that you're feeling around the decision. What you need is the right tool. What you need is the nervous system support so that you can explore these feelings, these fears, these anxieties, all these things that are bubbling up within you because of the decision you made to leave. So that's what I do with clients, is I really help them be able to move through this activated fear state that comes with the decision of leaving. But it really takes the nervous system work to be able to find safety from being in that stressed, hypervigilant state, and then to find clarity around why you're feeling so activated so that you can process at the root of what is going on, so that you're not continuing to feel hijacked by this ping pong game, so that you can finally trust your decision. You can finally stop feeling so confused. You'll access that clarity and that knowing and that peace within yourself. And that is going to help you start to rebuild your self-trust that's been whittled away for so long, which is going to help you stop being so self-critical. What I don't want is for you to spend another third of a year in this place of draining your life force, of feeling like you're just surviving, of feeling confused, of feeling drained. Life is so short. Our time is our most precious resource. And seeing how much of this is actually taking from you is a really humbling amount of information. It's a really humbling moment to be like, fuck, it's been over a third of a year. And asking yourself, if I had the right tools, if I had the right guide, if I had the right place that could make me feel safe enough and guide me through the steps that I need to be able to do this, wouldn't that feel like a good investment of time? Because it actually gives you your time back. This program of mine, I have watched clients move through 4 months of this program and change their entire trajectory of their life. What is capable for you when you reclaim this energy that's been stolen from all of this indecision is bigger than you can comprehend at this moment. But it's filling your cup so that you can pour it back into all of the people that you do love, your kids, your family, your friends, your work that you're so passionate about. This will give you back years of your life. This will give you back so much time, and not only time, but the enjoyment of that time. So that's really to get to guide clients through that, to reclaim their time and reclaim their sanity because they're not stuck in this indecision and this fear. It is so beautiful to watch. So that is what my program Becoming is the container for. It's helping you to do those things so that you can reclaim and become the woman that you want to be. Because this relationship has stolen a lot from you already, has made you become a version of yourself that you don't like, most likely. And so this program can help you become the woman that you do like, the woman that you do want to be. So when you are ready to take that dive and to really use your time more efficiently in that way, I am here. There's a link in the show notes for you to schedule an intro session with me. That's a free time that we get to talk about what's happening for you. I get to share about the Becoming program, and we get to see if there's alignment there. So please go and click through that link, find a time on my calendar if you are in this moment of, I need something to change. Okay, so let's pull an oracle card, see what the message is for you today. Body vision. Body vision says, body vision calls you to be fully present in the moment, to experience life with all 5 of your senses. Imagine the information you could collect if in every interaction you had, you consciously sensed into your vision, skin, hearing, eyesight, and even the taste of a moment. Your full body is always working for you to enrich the experiences of your life. Body vision is a vibe meant to encourage you to slow down, get present, and soak up all of the riches of the moment. Body vision is the antenna that tunes you into the unspoken, unseen, unheard, unsmelled, and untasted. Live presently in your whole self. You are receiving this message because you have gone unconscious in some area of your life. And body vision is like a finger, poking you to wake up. Get your senses online. Tune in, tune in, tune in. Mm. And we can't feel all of our body. We can't be fully embodied and present if we are engulfed in these fear parts. These parts of us have taken over. So another reminder of how important it is to have the safe space to be able to understand what these parts are doing and the fear that they're holding. So until I see you in that intro session or in the next episode, please remember that you are not